All right, we are here now with a very good friend of the show and a person you know and love, one Joseph Giordano, Baltimore's photographer. I don't mind calling you that, and I'm sure that other people have. Please say hello.
Hi.
Thanks for coming back on the show, Joe.
Oh, no problem. It's only been 3 years, but yeah, thanks for having me.
It hasn't been 3 years. Maybe it's been a year.
Actually, when was that last?
I don't remember.
I feel like it was only about 7 months ago. I mean,
No, it's definitely not 7 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did your BMI?
Last year. It was a year. It's been a year.
Okay. All right, fine. That's normal for most of our guests. Some of them have not been back on in over 3 years. One, Baynard Woods being the prime example, and we're trying to get him lined up because he's got a book coming up. But we're not talking about him today. We're talking about you and photography and
Well, we should probably start by expressing our condolences on the cancellation of the Dundalk Heritage Fair. I know how much that's an event that Joe enjoys
But
very
it wasn't
much.
canceled. They had a virtual Heritage Fair.
Oh, very good. How was it?
I don't know. I didn't go.
Did everyone on the Zoom have a Confederate flag in the background?
They just had MAGA hats and Confederate flags.
Yeah.
No, they did. The eagle and the Heritage people. I forgot about it. I sent it to the news outlets and just ignored it, like Fishbowl, and they just ignored it. And I forgot on July 4th. I just forgot about it because I was more concerned with the statue coming down on July 4th. But spoilers.
True.
We'll
We'll
get
get to
later
that.
on in the podcast.
That's basically Act 3 of our
I
conversation.
know, not to get ahead of ourselves.
Oh,
Yeah.
Act 3. We're This American Life now.
Right. I guess no. So winding all the way back to essentially the dawn of COVID. Once everything shut down, you were out there on the streets taking photos of COVID things, and I think the one thing that you did that was the most kind was prom pictures for people who could not have prom. And I think you got a great deal of coverage from that, did you not?
Yeah, we were on NPR. I didn't get my tote bag or coffee mug, but
Did you get to meet Tom Hall again?
you mean of Coral Art Society, Tom Hall? No, actually, no. Aaron did the initial story, and then Lulu Garcia Navarro I actually DM'd her because we follow each other on Twitter, and she bumped it up to the national NPR on Saturday morning. So
Very nice.
That was cool.
And I remember seeing some of your other photos floating around on social media.
Well, I did. I mean, I did. People behind glass, but it was like for the
Right.
first couple of weeks to be in behind glass, and then I did. I thought it was important to get the workers that weren't getting any applauses and things like that, like trash collectors, like people that were doing, it's called the essentials. So, people that were doing the essential stuff, but not really getting a lot of credit.
Deli counter workers. I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
People like Brian.
Yeah, deli counter workers. You gotta have
real
that,
heroes.
You gotta have that Reuben. You gotta have the Reuben. It's gotta be a place to get it.
Corned beef has been touch and go in the time of COVID. I'll tell you that much.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah, well, there's beef shortages or something. I don't know.
No, there is. Yeah, there's been a lot of like distribution chain shakeup. So, what's the going price on a Reuben now?
Oh.
Well, I mean, the price per pound hasn't changed. I guess Giant's very fair and a good place to go shopping.
This episode of the CTB Show brought to you by Giant Food.
Disclaimer: no, it's not.
It should be noted, I went to the grocery store today and there was exactly one jar of pickles.
Oh.
So I'm making my own, baby. Anyway.
So Mobtown meat pickles?
Pickle snacks.
Pickle snacks?
I love it when Joe makes a deep cut at my expense.
That's how you guys started with the jerky, right? You're like, I love this. I'm going to make my own. Fuck it.
That is exactly how it happened.
Yeah, so pickles are easier and cheaper to make.
I will not be going into the pickle business. However.
Fuck you, Vlasic. I'm coming for you.
Yeah, there are so many pickle vendors in this world. And
I know, and I don't understand why at the farmer's market the line is so long for the pickle vendor. Really,
people gotta have them pickles.
It's crazy how long that line is for pickles.
And I really feel like jarred pickles have, like, perfected it. But anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's get back to the topics.
Look, I'm a Gen X kid, right? So my gateway to Jewish culture was Lender's Bagels and Vlasic.
Oh my God.
Right? No, but it was good because then I'm like, this is horrible now. I want better bagels. And now I know what a bad bagel tastes like. So when I get a good bagel, I'm like, hey, this is really good.
I will pass that note along to
Same thing with Vlasic
Lender.
Like, that was like the staple of my lunchbox was a Vlasic pickle.
You're heading to school and with your Dukes of Hazzard metal lunchbox and your Vlasic pickles.
Yes.
And you're just ready to start trouble.
Yes, with my Lender's Bagels. Yes.
Bagels and pickles.
Title of the episode. I'm a Clausen man myself.
Batant. That's where I'm at. But it's not important right now.
No,
Why
it's
can
not.
we get a good bagel? What is a good bagel? And now that I found out that I got 10% Jewish, my mother's side, I can talk about this stuff. I feel like I can talk about it. We did 23andMe, 10%. But why can't we get a good New York bagel place in the city?
I like THB. Maybe that's me being a jerk, but I like THB.
Are they in downtown? Where are they?
There's the one in Charles Village.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
There's also one in Canton.
Huh. And there's a new bagel place that opened on Greenmount. I'll try it and report.
Please.
I think it's a chain, maybe.
It's Einstein Brothers Bagels.
A real traditional Jewish bagel restaurant.
That's what we're gonna have when all these restaurants close, man. It's just gonna be all chains. Hold on.
Yeah, you're probably right about that, and I think we touched upon sort of some of that on our last episode with Leandro. It was great, great guest. Shout out. But getting back to your photos, so of the COVID photos, which I guess since this is a visual medium, and actually it is currently because we do have video going. But what were some of the more striking images that you observed?
Bottoms Up Bagels. That's the one on Greenmount Avenue. Bottoms Up. I'm going to give a shout out. All right. I'm over the bagels. Sorry. No, I really like some of the family ones behind glass. I didn't know. I could have set up something for you guys. I could have set up
A share screen.
Yeah, share screen. I didn't think about it, but you're live, so I can't really run downstairs and grab a USB. But yeah, I mean, it's how people were responding to living like we're. It was basically like the other side of the zoo, right? Like looking in at humans. It's kind of wild. But the essential thing I think is probably my favorite one to work on.
Right.
Just because, I mean, it made Baltimore Magazine ran. They commissioned 4 of them, and they just ran it in the new issue. The new issue of Baltimore Magazine, by the way, is fantastic. If you guys can pick it up, it's really strange. Like in this climate right now, where you've got photographers losing jobs and wire service kind of taking over everything. There was this. I haven't read it yet, but apparently there was some NPR photo that went up that had nothing to do with the story. You see that a lot with publications. There was a big 4,000 word piece in an international publication that I used to contribute to quite often. And the pictures were like Baltimore poverty, but it had nothing to do with the story. They just clearly went to their file photos and put them in there. And
they got that Getty account. They might as well use it.
Well, it is. No, it is. It's what it is, Brian. It's exactly what it is. But my roundabout thing is thanking Baltimore Magazine for actually. I mean, this new issue's got about 10 photographers in it, all covering COVID and things like that. And Amanda and those guys over there did a really. I thanked them publicly on Instagram, and for hiring actual photographers and paying us a good wage. I've been very fortunate, knock on wood, to continue working through this thing. I think a lot of it has to do with, we don't have kids, so I can go out and come back and work as a journalist,
Yeah, that's a super good point, because I do feel like that is what gives almost everyone major pause about returning to normal or whatever it is. I guess the fortunate question mark thing is that kids are kind of like not getting this thing. I don't know.
Dude, I predict in 30 years we're gonna be like Logan's Run. 25.
I was gonna say, oh, that's awesome, except that,
Except
well, I'll
we
be
won't
long
be
dead.
here.
Yeah,
We're-
I'll be
we
long
would
dead.
Be long gone. We'd be
Couldn't have
long-
lived a richer life.
Yeah, just if they hit 25, kill them.
Now, so that takes us from like March to May,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
But in
basically.
May, people started coming back to the streets for the protests.
Right.
And you were right there as well.
Yes.
Now, one of the cool things about the way you take pictures is that you very much also talk to the people that you know you're capturing. You are very the way that you involve your subjects. You know, the consent. It's very much a part of your photography. Like, what were you hearing from people when you were talking to them when they were on the streets and stuff?
Well, I mean, about what?
How do they feel? Like, I mean, beyond just the easy, angry and scared.
There's, it's a lot of anger. I mean, the systemic racism that goes to these police departments, hasn't changed really since 2015. I think that's why. I think you had a perfect storm of COVID, unemployment. People, even when we're working from home or had a lot of time, so the protests could be bigger. But I mean, there's a lot of anger with, the police departments and defunding, and that should happen. Baltimore's got $500 million, right, in their budget.
I think it was 1.6 billion.
Yeah, there's 500 million. It's crazy. I have a relative who's a retired city cop who I thought would be very much against the defunding argument, but he was very much for it, which was very strange. And he made good points. Other besides the fact that we have to reinvest in education and social work and things like that. Even the technology in Baltimore City is so far behind, say, even Baltimore County. Like when I was out with a rookie for City Paper, and he had to use his GPS on his iPhone to get to this address. And when I was, I've been in cars at Baltimore County, and you're like, hang on, we're with Interpol right now. Hold on. It's like
the chief from Inspector Gadget pops out of the dash.
Exactly. No, like they have this like big, Terminator from the future looking laptop case thing. It's just wild, Baltimore County. But that's that's even a problem. But I mean, it's been done before. It's been done in Newark. I think Brandon Scott is probably going to do a lot with that. And the defunding, it has to happen. It has to. They got to rethink the whole thing. It's just not.
Well, when you think about what defunding means and just the jobs that we are making our police departments handle, that should be handled by actual trained, maybe college graduates sometimes. It really, defunding just kind of makes sense. You know.
Right. I'd like to welcome Dr. Evil to the show. Dr. Evil, how you doing?
Hi, Casey. Welcome back.
Doing good.
Casey's back from putting Cannon to sleep.
I was literally just saying to my mom earlier, who does live out in the county, that one of the ways that we can get, some of the conservative whiteys on board with, air quote, defunding the police is to say, okay, we take the police budget, which is, I don't know, let's say it's $1 billion. We cut it by 300 million. We reallocate some of those funds to social services and this and that and the other. But $100 million goes to lowering your property taxes. Woo! And instantly, I think we would have a groundswell of support.
Yeah, I mean, somebody posted about Obama and Hillary's tracking software that they initiated, so you should wear masks because it covers your face.
Yeah.
You won't be subject to the Obama-Hillary tracking software.
That's actually partially true.
I've been saying that for weeks now.
Yeah, I mean that's another big thing that's in with protest photography is trying not to show protesters' faces. We've just come.
Right.
We're really in this I mean I know it's kind of like beating a dead horse, but we're really in this 1968 movement where I mean everything is being rethought, refigured, kind of reconfigured, reanalyzed. And if you look at there's a great documentary, PBS on Prime. It's called The Day the 60s Died. It's about Kent, this 1970, about Kent State, right? And one of the students that was there at the shooting, her father had said, they should have shot all those hippies. And she's like, well, I was there too. And he just got up and left the room. So that the mentality of the right, in 1970 also they had this what they call. You guys ever heard of the Hard Hat Riot in New York?
No.
That's where a couple of these trade unions got together and they walked off the job to beat up hippies downtown. Serious, I mean, but that's it's very different. I mean, it's not very different than kind of what's happening now generationally and socially. We got to get rid of Trump, right? We got to get rid of him. He's got to be gone.
He is the embodiment of that type of worker that would.
Well, yeah, I mean, he
beat up people.
Thrives on this. He should be having White House press conferences with your background, Evan, but just DC, or New York.
You shared an article the other
Baltimore
day.
is a flaming cesspool.
Joe, you shared an article the other day. You really think he's leaving if he loses?
No, it's a good article. I agree with Jamel Bowie, New York Times columnist or journalist, black journalist, and it's got to be a landslide, because if it's a landslide for Biden, then the Republicans are going to hop off board. They're going to see that he's actually sinking. But if it's any modicum of contention, right? We're going to be stuck in this, fucking world. Trump land. I mean, he's got to be gone, according to the Constitution that they all rave over. He's got to be gone by January 20th. And in the Secret Service, I think it's the Secret Service, I think it's the Secret Service. They remove the individual from office.
Yeah, and I don't think he's got.
I made a face. Ooh.
I don't think he's got a cadre of loyalists in the Secret Service. I mean, but what you're saying is correct. If the vote is within 3 million, like it was last time.
Yeah.
If he gets the Electoral College, he'll still claim that he won the popular vote because, the Democrats commit fraud so often.
Right. Right. And I mean, well, again, this is back to the 68 analogy. They wanted to make it so close, the Republicans, that it went to the Republican-controlled House to decide. Because Humphrey was really close. 72, his re-election, McGovern only won 2 states. But Humphrey was only a couple thousand votes shy of beating Nixon. So really look at 1968 and 1970 as years. I mean, one journalist called it, you can't recreate history, but it's like a remix, right? It's really interesting how the people on the right, the white working class, are so against things like Black Lives Matter, so against anything to protest the establishment. It really is like 68 and 70, man.
I agree about the remix aspect, because
I want to drop this ass.
Trump is nothing if not a wannabe Nixon, but far less competent, which is amazing to say, because Nixon pulled an incompetent move and actually got nailed for it, whereas Trump has done this 1 billion times.
Well, yeah, but it's because because the Republicans enable him, right? Like,
And Fox News, like if they had Fox News when Nixon was in office, I don't think he would have got removed.
well, he didn't get removed; he resigned.
But
So,
sorry, I don't think
I mean,
he would have resigned because
no, but he resigned because I think, you know, he had a small amount of. I mean, Nixon was a bad dude, but I think he's one of those people that respect, you know, or I think he resigned because he didn't want to be like the second president impeached, right?
yeah, he knew he was going to get impeached. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've listened to Slow Burn season 1 where they covered Watergate.
Yeah.
It's really telling when you listen to what the other Republicans were saying about Nixon, and you just listen to the sound bites. It's the exact same vocabulary that they're using today.
Oh yeah.
That it's a witch hunt and blah, 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 so on and so forth. And that's what, like, I think if Nixon had Fox News, like, the tide wouldn't have turned against him, and he would have never left office.
UHF television is truly the downfall of America. You're right, Casey.
Well, I mean, it's not just Fox. I mean, Fox had, you know, Fox enabled Bush, right? And you know, they vilified Obama. But the thing with Trump is, like, the Senate just won't they back him no matter what. You know, if he didn't have a Republican Senate or had a Republican Senate with a backbone, I don't think he'd be getting away with this much because, you know, they're like, you know, we don't have to testify. They're putting up stumbling blocks, and that's not all Fox News, you know. But I mean, he's a monorail guy. Like, he's the perfect con artist. I covered 5 of his rallies. I've seen him speak live, and he's got this thing where, you know, he's got the cadence, or he had the cadence of like a stand-up comic. You know, hey, I mean, I'm out here. Are you out here? I'm out here, right? These Democrats, right? On my back. Like, you know, on your back. It's right. And then every other count is like, education, promise to, you know, who would you, you know, if you were, you know, a Republican, it was like, you know, hey, I like comedy. I want to vote for it. It's like the redneck comedy tour. You know?
That's why Jeff Dunham has a career.
I think he will. You might be a redneck. Yeah.
Oh, President Dunham with his puppet as VP. Are you
amazing.
kidding me?
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Now, and I think what you were talking about with the Senate is because you got a guy like Mitch McConnell who learned that, you know, with the Merrick Garland scenario, he can do a license to do whatever the fuck he wants.
Well, that's
he
what
never had to do a thing ever again.
Yeah, he enables him. He's an enabler. And my ass is kicking in. So, Brian, you're being really wavy right now.
Well, Joe, before you actually start tripping balls.
Fading in between Lex Luthor and William Shakespeare.
So getting back to these photos and the 3 phases of photography that have been going on in the past days. So the protests, I mean, from what I could see from the aerial photography, it must have been, what, 20,000 people at, you know, thousands of people, right? Like marching through Baltimore. And I'm at least pleased to say that, you know, we were relatively unaffected by a shred of the property damage as in 2015.
Yes.
Did you see any car fires? Did you see any?
No, and it's interesting. A lot of the black activists really kept everything down and cool. Like if someone threw something, you know, they kind of jump right on them. You know, I think that it's a very tricky thing to talk about, but I think with Baltimore, you know, under Freddie Gray, the cops got off. You know, the uprising did everything that it could, and they still got off. So I think a lot of that was still there. A lot of it had to do with, you know, the activists policing each other and don't throw things at the cops and stuff like that. You know, so.
It's been very interesting to see social media. So many different posts saying, don't throw shit, don't break shit. And, you know, I was watching CNN one of the nights, the night that CNN was itself under siege for some reason. So I guess it's the night after
Everybody hates CNN.
Right. But it felt strange to see white people leading the charge of breaking windows and shit. You know,
Really?
why? Because for me, not your place, bro. You know, I understand. You know, I understand that police brutality and racism affects all walks of life. But I think it was a time for white people to take a step back and follow for a change, not be the one taking your skateboard to CNN's plate glass windows.
Yeah, especially if the narrative for why such property destruction was going on was just generational anger and frustration, you know, manifesting itself in that form. These are people that are relatively, in fact, probably just completely unaffected by, you know, harassment or violence by police, and it doesn't fit at all. But also, I don't know, anytime any of that stuff happens, it immediately draws focus away from what the point was.
But was it white people protesting, or was it people trying to instigate and
It felt like instigators.
try to give a bad try to draw negative attention intentionally?
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's the weird onion that's involved, is like, oh, were these like insurgent protesters that were faking, you know, are they part of the alt-right, or you know, what's going on here? I don't understand. I don't care. Like, just get them the fuck out of there, because as soon as the cameras are on these people that are smashing windows, it immediately comes angry mob of rioters are destroying shit, not 40,000 people peacefully, you know, walking down the street, whereas 3 people threw a rock and broke a window. Which, you know, leading to the third phase of this photography conversation involves the Columbus statue in Baltimore, which, you know, I think we posted it on Instagram, and it came from a friend of ours that the 3 headlines were from AP, Washington Post, and Fox News. It was like, protesters removed the statue, protesters threw it in the harbor, and then Fox News was, rioters destroyed like a monument or something. It was very, very, very dry in terms of that example of, this is how we're going to control the narrative. Everyone out on the streets is an angry rioter, not protesting, they're rioting. But Joe, you were there like that night. Was it an angry mob? Were they setting fires to things?
No. No, I mean, that you know, that statue had to come down. I never got the whole, and I'm a Joseph Mario Giordano. So I never understood the whole Columbus love fest. I mean, the guy was like guilty of genocide. He was, you know, slavery. Like, he was horrible. He failed, right? He failed. Like, we gave a statue to a mediocre white dude who failed, essentially.
It sounds like the 80s, anyway.
So, yeah, I mean, it came from, it was put up in like 86 or something. It's the same with all these Confederate statues. Like, these weren't put up in 1870, you know, to say, hey, we love General Lee. A lot of these statues were put up in the 20th century to support white supremacy, especially, you know, that big one that was up that Catherine Pugh took down by the BMA. In that guy's speech, he was a landowner who owned that land, and he paid to have that statue put there. And he wanted to make it as a monument to the supremacy of the white man. Like, it's in his speech. Like, look it up. So all these things they're just horrible. Like, they have to go, you know. And it's like, fine, either put something up down there like Frederick Douglass, you know, who actually worked in the area in Fells Point and lived in the area in Fells Point, and, you know, was a slave and then came back as free. You could put his statue there because he literally lived in that area, right? Or don't put anything up. You know, let them be monuments to white supremacy that people have to confront and talk about whenever they see it. You know,
it is funny though, because as a kid, and I remember thinking this when I was told, you know, Columbus, air quotes, Columbus discovered America. I always pictured him just motoring those boats up to Harbor Place, sticking a flag and saying, fucking America, man, and, that's not what he did. He was a scumbag.
He didn't even set foot on North America. Like, I don't know how you could claim he discovered anything if he didn't even touch foot down.
Which is why, I think Amerigo Vespucci, you want to pick an Italian, pick him. He's a navigator, and the country is literally named after him.
But I've got two things that left that I do want to touch upon. One of which was you got on Twitter and suggested a walking tour from West Baltimore. Why don't we touch on that? Because I thought it was really good.
That was a Frederick Douglass tour I was talking about.
Right.
So his house is down there on Dallas Street, right? The museum's there. He worked as a ship's caulker in Fells Point when he fled to St. Michael's, came back from there. So, I mean, it's an entirely appropriate statue or monument to have in Fells. It's even part of the history of the area. It's not a random statue to put down there. It's that's Benjamin Banneker, up in Towson or Lutherville. Billie Holiday had a street, owns there's Billie Holiday Road, which is, I think it's North Rose Street or something.
You can donate the proceeds to the Cab Calloway House.
Yeah, well, that's another, I haven't really been following the Cab thing that close. But, I think that house should stay up. It's so horrible, and it makes me so mad that where's our Harriet Tubman statue? There's no statues to any of these, African American Black pioneers, and there should be. Take all these Confederate monuments and dump them all in the harbor, and make them a reef for oysters. Make them an oyster reef. Take that stupid bronze. That thing's huge, man. I saw them pull that off. That Lee Jackson thing that they had up by the Museum of Art. Make that an oyster reef. I'm gonna actually tweet that out. You know that?
Go for it. Speaking of weird shit, did you see the video of the guy on that statue pedestal dressed in Confederate stuff?
Yes, I know. It was like white people on Twitter don't know how they're like, oh my God, it's a black man wearing a Confederate uniform. Which book do I read?
You're right.
Which book do I read?
I mean, it is what it is.
Look, this walking tour thing, I mean, that's a no-brainer. I just shoot an email.
Well, they have one. I mean, they have, I think, the museum down there and the Reginald Lewis Museum, full disclosure, I'm on the board there. They have education like that. But I was just thinking if they had to put a statue back up, my suggestion was, I mean, I had another suggestion, and I followed this up on that long-ass thread, but over on the old Reed's drugstore, where you had the first Baltimore sit-in in 56, I think I wanted to, and I work with a mutual friend of ours, Evan, well, he and I talked about it as an architect, and then my friend Sam, who's a black sculptor, we had talked about it a couple of years ago, but making a big bronze lunch counter you could actually sit at, on the street in front of where Reed's drugstore was.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Dr. Helena Hicks, she was one of the original sitters. Have a bronze statue of her, and you can sit right next to her. So
these are all very good ideas, Joe.
Thanks.
We need to have another one for our power lunches.
Yeah, sure, man.
I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know what's open anymore.
In 2023.
Yeah. When we turn 50.
No, bars are open, right? We can go into a COVID bar,
Yeah, they sure are. But a friend of mine just texted me this afternoon saying that they were out and about on a Thursday. Look, Casey's drinking Epic Rye. Oh, so jealous.
I know.
But said that 4 of the people that she saw on Thursday tested positive this week.
Where?
I don't know where they went. I know where she was sitting, and it was the same bar I mentioned previously that has the outdoor misters that keep everyone cool, but probably will Bit a lot of disease.
COVID is the new herpes. You're gonna have to call all your friends that you've been with, and they're gonna have to call all their friends that they've been with,
Right.
and everyone's gonna have to get checked for COVID.
Well, much like herpes, if we all get it, then who cares?
It's a shark, Martin. It's a shark. It swims, it eats people, and makes little sharks.
The beaches will be open. The 4th of July will go on.
That's right.
Unless you're in Florida.
That's right.
That's true.
I mean, yeah, but don't forget, he got reelected in Jaws too.
He did. He was still there. That guy was still there.
All right, so Joe, the last thing I wanted to touch upon, and probably the funniest fucking thing I've seen in quite some time, was a little tweet you put out that was aimed at a certain city councilman.
Oh, Costello.
Did he call your mom and ask her if you would play nice?
No, he called Joy, my stepmother, my mother, and screamed at her on the phone.
Oh,
Well, before we get to the phone call, we need to set up why it was that.
So I was there covering a peaceful drive-by protest in his little alleyway house in Federal Hill, and it was cars just going by and honking, and I was filming it because I was invited by the protesters to cover it, so I went to cover it. And I guess he saw my name on Instagram, and he knows Joy, who's my stepmother, from Fells Point Business Association when she was the head of that. So he called, and her words were, he was apoplectic. And then after he calmed down,
Apoplectic.
yeah, he called back like 3 times, like saying, "What should I do? What should I do?" And that is, if that's not a case study in abusive male behavior, like who has anger management issues, then I don't know what is. Like,
and I have to assume her answer was, "Well, if I were you, I'd start drafting a statement."
well, no, she has to be diplomatic with him, but she called me, and I was like, "Listen, I don't care, man. My family comes before reputation, comes before job. I don't care." And I mean, I got just as much negative comments and DMs, and I don't care about it. You don't call my mother and scream at her and then say, "Well, I didn't know he was a member of the press." I mean, I don't want to sound arrogant, right? I mean,
I know who his family is, but I just don't happen to know.
I don't know who this guy is, but he has a camera. I didn't know, but I know his mom somehow.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and he's lucky because I called my father.
Uh-oh.
And he was ready to go down to his house.
Because
but he
like
would have
you
been
said,
bad.
Joey Mario Giordano, don't screw around.
Yeah, I really wish he wasn't running unopposed. He is this time around, but as everyone buys in. I'm not gonna say everyone. Men buy in. Men in power buy into this Trump thing where they think they're immune, like Trump is, right? And they're not. They're not. They're not Trump, but they buy into it, right? They think they can get away with it. So I got in touch with. I'm filing an ethics complaint when they get back to normal down at City Hall. There's no one there right now, so it's not kind of a moot point. But I mean, it's not over. I'm definitely going to follow up on it because saying that out loud, like, he called my mother, right? And you know what? And what the cherry on top of this like shit Sunday, right? Is she said, "Listen, you want his number? You can call him." He's like, "No, that's okay," and hung up on her. So he literally
I'm gonna yell at this lady
at a woman in my family. And then that's toxic. Like I wrote, I'll be honest with you guys. Like breaking news, I wrote this long letter to him asking him to get help. As a man, I'm like, dude, because one day it's going to be over a parking space, or someone's going to cut you off in traffic, and he's going to go off. Because
he was tired.
Yeah, he was tired, right? I know, right? Yeah.
He hadn't slept in 72 hours.
Yeah, I know. Dad's been drinking. He's tired. But if you look up him online, there's a lot of he's they call him a firebrand, right? Because he's a guy, so he's a firebrand,
right?
But that behavior is, dude, that guy needs anger management. Like if your first response to a journalist is to call a woman family member and scream at them on the phone. He didn't call my dad, whose number is on Facebook and everything. He didn't call me. My number is literally everywhere, right? All my accounts have my number on it. He called my mother and screamed at her. And it's just not, that dude needs help.
Fascinating stuff.
Yeah. I feel like we've been on a journey, Joe.
I think it's fucking wild.
It's wild.
Well, are there any other pressing issues, topics, and/or plugs that you'd like to, get off your chest before we bid you adieu?
Tell us about your new Instagram.
Oh yeah, that.
Oh no, I set up a new Instagram. What is it? Hold on. Let me see.
Switch profiles.
Well, I always forget if I do singular or plural. That's what I always forget. It's JMG Project, singular. And it's only going to be the series, black and whites, that I'm working on in series. I have one. I'll give you guys a scoop. It's not up yet. That is 25 years of covering Baltimore at night.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
So have me back on for that one.
We will.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've ever got like a link or a photo or whatever you want to.
Well, it's going to go on Instagram, and my friend Audrey Gatewood, she's a fellow photographer. She helped edit it. It was going to be. I wanted to make it into a zine or a book to support the restaurant community in the city. But I don't know any printers. That's the problem. I don't have any money for printing.
And no one has an office anymore, so they can't illegally use the office printer.
Exactly. I can't use I can't use city paper printer anymore. But that that's cool. I'm gonna miss the Caribbean Island Parade this year, which is like the best parade in the city. Yeah, and it's gonna be.
I don't think I've ever been to that.
Yeah, most people haven't. It's up here, and by people I mean white people. It's up here by me, and it's not really advertised, like in general, but it's an amazing parade. It's a 4-hour parade. They have like 3-story stacks of speakers, and they have this powdered paint thing from like Trinidad and Tobago. Every island has its own car or float dancers from every island, right? It ends at the festival ended in the festival over in the golf course over there. I'm just drawing a blank. Off Hartford Road, the big golf course.
I don't remember.
Memorial Stadium, the golf course. It's not Mount Clair.
Clifton Park.
Clifton Park, yeah. Clifton Park Golf Course. So they have a festival. The organizers and have a festival there, and it's great. And the food was great. And it was so wild, man. The dancers were awesome. And it sucks that who knows if it's going to happen next year, but I'm really going to miss that.
Yeah, we had a conversation with Leandro on the last episode about Drum City Night Market and what the hell is going to happen with that. And
yeah,
I don't know. They're doing some stuff, but it's certainly not going to be 20,000 in attendance, unfortunately.
No, and the more these like Canton bars close down, like go figure. Who'd have thought that? There's dumb scientists. They said that. Dumb scientists. No, but like the more these bars, it's like, again, like to end it on the Jaws reference, is just gonna keep eating people. It doesn't care about your Twitter, your politics, your Facebook, anything. It's just going to keep eating, right? So
yes.
You want to go to a crowded bar? Guess what? You're gonna get COVID. Go to a crowded bar, get COVID.
If I may use a Simpsons reference, 'tis no man is a remorseless COVID machine.
Yes.
That somehow will be the title of the episode. I don't know how, but it will be. All right, Joe, thanks for giving us your time. I hope you have a good evening. Say hi to your wife for me.
I will. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
If I do that nightlife stuff, man, I'd like to come back on and really do something. Talk about that.
Yeah, do some share screens, but also whenever you've got a thing to plug, and I do believe you are a member of the fan zone, feel free to post links.
Fan zone, yes, you like a little fan zone.
Our tiny little corner of
sports
Facebook.
Now you guys are the sports. There's no sports right now. You guys.
That's right. It's the Real World Road Rules Challenge and us. That's it.
Like, that's right, man. Like, I really wanted to have, and I know Evan would be totally down with this. I've always wanted to have a fake sports podcast.
Oh yeah, that sounds fun.
No, where you just say stuff that makes no sense and
Right.
sound like sports, like you're talking sports, right?
Right.
Like just say "in the pocket" like 25 times,
Yeah.
right? Just stuff like that, and make up fake stats. And
It's coming down to the wire.
No, but like just make up fake statistics.
Sure.
You know? And just have a fake. That'd be great, like Spinal Tap, but for a sports podcast.
Yeah. Jacob J. Johnson has some real numbers going. He's got a 231 in the AVG.
And we're here with the Wizard. Wiz, what do you think about Johnson's chances to make it to the playoffs of the 3EC League Go?
Well, he's almost at 500, guys. He makes it 500, he's definitely in the door. If he can't get to 500, he's not going to the door. He's going to stay in the pocket.
You're out of your mind. He's going up against the
No,
grinder
listen,
next week.
just-
You don't know what you're talking about.
First of all, he's the GOAT. He came to us from USC. He knows what he's doing. He's been knowing what he's doing. He'll always know what he's doing.
But what about his left? He doesn't even have one.
This would
You don't
be
have a
such
left.
An amazing podcast.
We'll workshop it. I mean, we might do a CTB Presents episode.
20 minutes of empty speech.
I mean,
yeah, we could
just
just-
sports bashing, you know?
Just call it sports with
It
this.
was like one time I got really drunk with a friend of mine, Stuart, and we were reading the New York Times chess reporting, and
My grandma's got better pawn control than this guy.
No, but you have to read this out loud. It is hilarious. He dramatically turned his C4 to 3/4 to the bishop 6. But wait. He waited on the knight to 4. It's just hilarious when you're drunk and you're reading the chess report.
Ooh, the match takes an unfortunate turn as Bobby Fischer says something about the Jews.
I know. Why do you gotta bring that up, man? You know, man.
Because it's the only thing I know about chess.
Oh my God.
Bobby Fischer, the Jews, and
One Night
Deep
in
Blue.
Bangkok. That's from chess, also.
Murray Head.
It's right, Murray Head. One Night in Bangkok. Yeah. So let's do the Fake Sports Podcast. Can't wait.
Yeah, I'll text you about it. We'll do.
Could you well, you can't use the Ravens because that's copyrighted. They'll tell you, well, whatever. They just say you take it down.
Oh yeah,
We're
just
talking about the birds.
the Blavens.
Yeah. It's
Even-
like, yeah, just do the bird's nest, right? And nobody knows who the hell's on the Orioles now anyway. You can make up a whole bunch of names and a whole
Frank
bunch.
Zabatko Jr.
I know.
Clarence Stevens at third.
Yeah.
I don't know what his arm looks like.
They're all just characters from The Wire.
D. Ortiz is great. He's a great mid shortstop man, right? he's a southpaw. He's great. Almost at 500 this year.
It's going to be the real struggle is how many Latin last names can you come up with? That's how well a fake baseball show would work.
I wonder how many, dude. If you genuinely like put out there's a new Baltimore sports podcast just to troll everyone and just blast it all over Twitter and Facebook, you would probably have a good amount of listeners. And
We could do one 20-minute show and still be elected Baltimore's best podcast by the Baltimore Sun Readers poll.
yes,
As long as they don't know it's us.
Right. They hate us.
dude, but the chats would be like, "What the fuck are these guys talking about? Who's D. Ortiz?"
But they furiously would Google every single thing that we say.
Oh.
And then we should read the hate mail as if it's fan mail. Hey, got a great one. You guys are fucking idiots. Oh, thanks for listening.
Thanks, Dave in Rockville.
Man,
It's Dave in Salisbury, if you know him.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
you could call yourself. Welcome back to the Eggs in the Nest. All right, eggs. What do we got?
It's the Whizzer and the Budge. I don't know what the Budge means.
It'd be great. We could throw in some political commentary. We could say like Obama made all these like anti-Second Amendment remarks that were actually made by Reagan. So when they looked it up, it would be Reagan said it. Like,
Now, here's what I think about sports radio, is that it should definitely stick to sports.
Yes, no politics. That's
No
right.
Nobody wants
politics.
to talk about your opinions on
Right.
things that are not sports.
Well, that's no. So Evan, you remember this? I was Haas Eagle talent on whatever that first iteration of right wing Facebook was for a minute, like around.
Oh yeah,
12
I
or
was
something.
thinking about that because of the new like right wing Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, I got kicked off of there because I set up a Ted Nugent fake account and I posted a bunch of vegan memes and Black Lives Matter stuff and they kicked me off.
Nice.
I swear, I'm serious. Yeah, I was Motor City Madman.
All right, Joe, we're gonna.
Anyway, Casey's not amused. Okay, I'm out.
Do you want to do shut-ups with us?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll stick around to do shout-outs.
Fuck it. All right, so we're gonna pause for a couple of seconds, and we'll be right back with shut-ups.